off for Heat 2A. He's up against Chip Hanauer, Todd Yarling, and Steve Reynolds. And remember the shootout that Hanauer and Reynolds had earlier in the going. And this time, though, Hanauer's got to win it.
Well, they've replaced that prop, obviously, on the Miller American boat. We saw him make some aerodynamic changes to the Miss 711. This could be another one of those great battles we saw in Heat 1B. Here they come down for the start. Look at the clock there as the seconds tick off. You can't cross that starting line with any time remaining. Now, that is Andy Coker in the Miss Madison out in front as they come down towards the starting line. On the inside comes the Miller American. On the outside comes the other turbine boat, Miss 711, and Steve Reynolds. They were going to blow right by Miss Madison. A beautiful start for Chip Hanauer. He cuts over in front of Miss Madison. That is Miss 711, Steve Reynolds on the outside. The position's just reversed from the first time they met.
It sure is, and as we heard earlier, Hanauer is pretty happy with the way that boat was handling, and he's got the tight inside line, so it's possible he's going to say so long to Steve Reynolds this time. It may not be the tight race that we had earlier, but look at that. As Hanauer pounds through that chop down the back straightaway, he loses Reynolds in that rooster tail, but you've got to be sure that Steve Reynolds is not going to lift under any circumstances. Hanauer, 190 miles an hour under the bridge here on the Ohio River, getting set up for turn number 3.
Well, not only is the extra horsepower in the Miller American a big speed advantage, Brock, but in this rough water, it helps out there, too, just plowing through it.
But don't forget, he's the only man ever to lap this course at over 140 miles an hour. And there comes Reynolds swinging way wide, trying to get around, trying to get into that smooth water. Still riding in second spot. And he got a good shot off of turn number 4, Steve. It looks as if he might try to get by him as they come down the front chute.
Well, this duel between the two turbines is everything it was cracked up to be in the press going into this regatta. Just an incredibly exciting matchup.
And a wild sound, not the big hammering noise of an aircraft engine, but a kind of banshee shriek as we see the two conventionally powered boats bringing up the rear. That's Andy Coker and Todd Yarling, both Allison-powered boats. Of course, Coker in the old conventional front-engine boat, and Yarling in one of the newer cab-over versions. But this one, boy, they don't come any quicker, no more sophisticated than that Hanauer boat, Steve.
And don't you know that back on the dock, there's a pretty lady with her fingers crossed, the co-owner of the Miller American, Fran Muncie, the widow of the great Bill Muncie, one of the finest drivers the Unlimited Sport has ever known. And she's mighty proud of this latest creation by Lucero and mighty proud of her superstar driver, Chip Hanauer.
Well, of course, Chip took over the driving chores when Bill tragically lost his life in one of the earlier boats that came for the Muncie team. But now Hanauer, the #1 driver for that team, heading apparently toward victory here. And that, of course, is a local favorite, Andy Coker, sitting high, riding high in that grand old boat, holding on right now to 3rd place and doing a good job out there.
And you know, Brock, most of these drivers are handsomely paid to take the kind of punishment. Not Andy Coker. He doesn't make a dime for driving the Miss Madison. Remember, that's the community-sponsored boat. But he's happy to do it because it's his first unlimited ride. After years of success in 7-liter hydros, outboards, just about anything you can rocket across the water, and Andy's driven, except the unlimited. And this is a way of breaking into this tight fraternity, Brock.
It sure is. Most of these guys have a long background in boat racing of all types. You don't just jump into one of these things. It takes an enormous amount of experience, a lot of guts, and as you say, a touch to understand exactly how hard to ride these things before you get them completely out of the water.
And in the case of the Miss Madison boat, some upper body strength comes in handy.
Well, they used to all look like Miss Madison until guys like Lucero went to the, what they call the cab over, the rear engine power plants, first with the big Rolls-Royce engines, and now with the turbines. And look at that thing skim across the water, just a bullet. One of the prettiest pieces of sporting equipment on Earth, Steve.
And there is the last lap flag, Brock. 2.5 miles separates Chip Hanauer from the points he so desperately needs if he's to qualify for the final. Even a win here does not necessarily guarantee him a final berth.
Yeah, it's going to be a real irony for the man to come in here and set this lap record, run away with both the heats he's been in, at least almost up until the DNF that first time out. But right now, he's just going to put it on Steve Reynolds as hard as he can to, if for no other reason, to establish himself as the quickest boat in the place. And I'm sure if lap times counted for anything, he'd get in right away. Todd Yarling way back back there. That boat has simply not been running that well, and look at how quickly Hanauer flew past Todd Yarley. That'll give you an idea of the differentials in speeds with some of these boats. And in a lot of cases, that's a question of hull, configuration, design, and, of course, power. And power is what this man has. Over 3,000 horsepower.
And that is demonstrated, Brock, in that he has a 2-turn lead over Steve Reynolds, who has just now come out of turn number 2, holding down that second position. But he is a distant second.
Well, it may be that Reynolds has backed off a little bit, trying to keep that boat together. He doesn't want a DNF. He wants to get into that main event. As we see Hanauer blow past to take the victory and give himself 400 points. It may or may not be enough. But Reynolds, of course, by finishing second, picks up another 300 points, and that practically guarantees him a starting spot in the main event.
Oh, in fact, for sure. There'll be no keeping Steve Reynolds out of the main event if he can just take the checkered flag here, as Chip Hanauer already has. Now, Reynolds just making that turn out of 4. And Brock, if you look real close on the left-hand side of the boat, it looks like there's water coming up out of the sponsor.
He may have hauled the hull somehow, and yeah, notice that water just squirting out just in front of his head. These hulls are a very sophisticated mix of fiberglass and marine plywood, and it could be that he hit something, perhaps a rupture, or maybe just a hard ride Steve's given it. Could have caused a rupture somewhere in that hull sponson.
Well, they'll have time to repair it before the final, Brock. He has taken second place. The checkered flag is waved, but Todd Yarley from Hanover, Indiana, the Cellular One boat is suddenly dead in the water.
Yeah, he's taking a peek inside there to try to figure out what broke, and he is obviously displeased with whatever happened.
So here's the final result of Heat 2A. Hanauer, Reynolds, Coker, Yarley in that Governor's Cup unlimited hydroplane race here on the Ohio River. I'm Steve Evans, along with Brock Yates and Ed Bruce, and here's the point standings from Heat 2A.
Exactly what the status of Chip getting into the final is right now. He just won that heat, but of course broke the prop in the first heat. So what has to transpire for him to get into the final now?
Of course, not finishing the first heat cost us 400 points. We did pick up 400 points for winning the second heat, but I think the other boats right now have enough points to keep us out of the final at this point, depending on what happens in the second section of the second heat. Right now, I think that we're in the position of being the first alternate for the final if everybody finishes the second heat. You never know what's going to happen. You know, we've had times when we haven't started, and so hopefully Lady Luck will shine on us for the final.
Thanks, Jim. We hope it works out because we'd like to see a shootout between the 3 fastest boats on the river. Chip's boat, this boat, the Miss Budweiser, and, of course, the 711 Turbine, which you remember sustained some damage. Steve is down there to have a look at that boat.
There's a little bit of the Ohio River raining down on the trailer of Steve Reynolds' U7. You can see why here. There's a giant separation in the sponson. Now, some of this damage was inflicted last week in Detroit. The remainder of it was in Heat 2A. You'll recall that Reynolds was running the boat very easy. The sponson down in the water, pounding against the chop. So that actually did more damage than running the boat hard. You can bet in the final, they're not going to fix this, by the way, just leave it alone, let the water drain out. But you can bet in the final that this part of the boat probably won't even be hitting the water as hard as Steve Reynolds is going to be on the gas.
Well, that little salute cannon, traditional part of yacht racing, be it sailboats or powerboats, as it signals 5 minutes to go before the start of the next heat.
And the first boat out into the water to warm up is Jerry Hopp and the Old Boy.
Turbocharged Allison, all 3 aircraft engines, Steve.
Now that is Scott Pierce, the Executone boat on the inside. In the middle is the Old Boy Oberto, Jerry Hopp. On the outside, making a drive for the start, is Jim Klopfeld in the Miss Budweiser, and Rocky nailed the start perfectly.
Beautiful, running absolutely flat out, nailed the start, and sweeps into turn number 1. Way wide though, but look at, here comes Scott Pierce, down low, right up against the buoys. They call them pins in unlimited hydroplane racing, tucked in right against that pin, and he'll come off at turn number 2 in the lead.
Now, we have not seen Klopfeld take an inside line all day. The heavier boat just doesn't want to turn that sharply.
Nope, so Scott Pierce comes off the corner with a little bit of a lead. Scott Pierce, remember, was going to change his prop and hope for a little more top speed, and it looked like that conversion worked out for him because Scott's running strong right now.
Scott Pierce, the leader in the national point points championship, showing you why right now. It's just a consistent old horse. It doesn't break down very often, and he's accumulated a lot of points for that reason. As the Turbines, even though on paper they're very reliable, they're really in their infancy. They have not worked all the bugs out of them. Here comes Kropfeld.
Kropfeld way wide, coming off of turn 4. That big Griffin motor, a whole bunch more cubic inches than the Merlin that Scott Pierce has, but Pierce has the inside line and still holds on to the lead as they head back under the bridge.
And don't you know, Brock, that Kropfeld is all over the nitrous button coming out of those turns.
You can be sure of that. But I'll tell you what, Jim Lucero and Chip Hanauer and Fran Muncie and the rest of the Miller American crew, they probably aren't watching this race so much as they are Jerry Hobb back there in third place because his boat's not running very well. And they're probably saying, well, Jerry, why don't you just park it, and that'll let us get into the main event.
You don't think Jerry's about to do that, do you?
I doubt it. Look at this race. Sideways, power sliding through the corners. Kropfeld ducks down in low now. Looks like he may try to get in a little bit tighter in that corner. Maybe even jump the wake of Scott Pierce to get on the inside. But now they come down the back straight through that chop, headed toward the bridge, neck and neck. Good, good unlimited powerboat race.
And as they head for turn number 3, Brock, it's that skid fin that you showed us on Jerry Hobbs' boat that enables these machines to corner like they do. Without that skid fin, they just slide right up to the beach.
Well, here comes Scott Pierce. Kropfeld got a little bit of a lead on him, but as they head into turn number 3, it's Pierce that's going to dive down underneath them and perhaps hold that lead. Jim Kropfeld just counting on the raw power of that big Griffin to just yank him off the corner, as you say, with a little bit of a help from the nitrous button. And who's to know? But look at this. Pierce gets himself about 3 boat lengths coming off of turn 4. He is going to hold that lead. He may win this thing.
Indeed, he might. Look at this. Misspot on the outside. Scott Pierce on the inside, and it's that inside line that has paid off for him so far.
Well, these boats are so hairy, so difficult to control. You just can't get too close to each other. You said that earlier. You can't bounce them off, and we've only seen one wake cross here today. That was a real gutsy move by Steve Reynolds. But it looks as if Kropfeld is going to stay on the outside and just count on that extra power, if he has it, to pull off this race.
We talked about nitrous oxide earlier. That is laughing gas. The same thing that your dentist might give you to make an extraction a little more pleasant, a little more palatable. The same stuff. It's a pressurized gas. You just push a button. It's worth 400 or 500 horsepower.
Well, Kropfeld looks as if he's pulled out a little bit of a lead. He got in tight coming off of turn 2, and that might give him a little bit of the advantage that he needs. But remember now, it's been Pierce that has run real well through turn 3 and 4 and has managed to hold on to that lead down the front straightaway. And look at that beautiful shot. You get an idea of what a beamy kind of boat these Unlimiteds are. Very, very wide boats. But don't forget, look at that. Scott Pierce sideways just slides that boat in tight to hold on to that lead. What a shot, Steve.
And did you notice how early he turns that boat? Before you think he really would. He sets it up and slides it much like you would a dirt track car.
Yep. Just kind of 3,000 horsepower sprint cars out here on the water. Kropfeld can't seem to quite get by Scott Pierce. Boy, Scott wanted some more power. He sure got it.
Well, whatever changes they made to that boat, propeller and whatever, have paid off here. The boat is much faster than it was in the earlier heat.
It sure is. And look at how clean that rooster tail is for Scott Pierce's boat. You can, of course, the guys that run these boats all the time can read these boats, the way the rooster tail looks, the way the boat rides on the water. And I'm sure Scott Pierce's crew is really happy with the way that boat's running right now. Scott comes from a long boat racing heritage. His dad owned Unlimited. Scott, 30 years old, made a big reputation in the smaller 5-liter hydros before moving to the Unlimited, and it has a real future. A very gutty, very heady driver.
Well, here is Jerry Hopp. Speaking of guts, this man could get the job done. The old boy Alberto boat, U4, currently in the 3rd spot, and right now all he wants to do is finish. He doesn't care if he's 2 miles behind. This man doesn't want him to finish. Nothing personal, but Chip Hanauer would like a shot at the final. He's not going to get it if all 3 of these boats take the checkered flag.
And right now, Steve, all of them are running like watches, in particular this one, the Rolls-Royce Merlin-powered Executone boat of Scott Pierce. By the way, that is a Jim Lucero hull, brand new all last year, so it's essentially a very contemporary hull with a very strong engine in it.
And here is Scott headed down for the checkered flag. This is the last few yards of the last lap, and it appears that Scott Pierce, the Executone telephone boat, is going to take the checkered flag in Heat 2B. Indeed, he does. Now, will the other 2 boats make it to that finish line? If the story, Hanauer will be a spectator for the final.
Right you are, Steve, and his chances are rapidly diminishing as we watch Jim Cropfeld race across the line to take second place. That leaves only Jerry Hopp out on the river. Cropfeld, of course, the defending champion. He'll move into the feature race with that big Griffin-powered boat that he's got. So it's going to be certainly Reynolds and Cropfeld among the two heavy hitters, and it may or may not be Hanauer. That question is, will Jerry Hopp come across the line? If he does, and it looks like he will, that is goodbye, Chip.
You know, I said that Hanauer would be on the beach for the final. That's not entirely true. The rules allow them to put that boat in the water for the full 5 minutes. In case during the warm-ups anybody has problems, he can fill that slot. So you can bet that Lucero, Fran Muncie, and crew will do that.
They sure will, because they are pure professional racers and among the very best in the business. And here comes Jerry Hopp to come across the line to take the third spot in that heat. So we've got final results here in Heat 2B. Scott Pierce, good, strong.
Good job, Scott. And that's one thing you had to do, really, was to make the final, try to keep that point lead alive. Huh?
Well, we could have finished second and made the final. We could have finished third and made the final. But what we did do is pick up another 100 points on the Budweiser for the National, the World Championship. And that was important to Executone to do that.
Water conditions now compared to earlier today.
It's pretty bad. I'm going to tell you. There's some lumpers out there that you can't believe. But we're tough. We'll go through it. No problem.
You've got the consistency, that's for sure, and a very enthusiastic crew.
Yes, this is our whole Executone crew, and they're really behind us, and we're having a good year, and it's nice when you have a good year.
Good luck in the final.
Thank you, Steve.
Sub-final. 5 boats have qualified for this all-important race. The favorite has got to be the Miss 711 boat owned by Steve Wimmer, driven by Steve Reynolds, the only turbine boat to make the final. The clock ticking away, Brock Yates. Everybody trying to anticipate that start.
And it looks as if Scott Pierce has jumped out, but there goes Steve Reynolds in the turbine boat trying to come down. And, yeah, a perfect start. Steve Reynolds in the middle there in the turbine, and on the outside, that's Jim Cropfeld and Miss Budweiser. Look at him fly. Ooh, almost got it. A blow over. That boat got way, way up on its hull as they hooked down into turn number 1. It's Pierce, Reynolds, and Cropfeld out front, with Andy Coker and Jerry Hopp fighting it out for the 4th spot.
Look at this. Steve Reynolds on the inside in the turbine boat. On the outside, the piston engine missed Budweiser. Now, Reynolds seems to have this race in hand, Brock. The boat is handling beautifully. Crew chief Jerry Burhill has done all the right setup. Look at it. It's almost perfect.
Textbook piece of race driving there by Steve Reynolds. You got a quick peek at Chip Hanauer in the Miller American boat. He, of course, is dead in the water, got in there, hoping that somebody wouldn't start. No way now. The race is on, and Hanauer's out for the day.
And here comes a challenge from the Miss Budweiser boat. All over the river is Jim Cropfeld, giving it everything he's got, all the nitrous possible, but still he's having trouble keeping up with the turbine-powered boat on the inside, Steve Reynolds.
Well, right now, Jim Cropfeld's sure thinking, boy, I wish that turbine of mine hadn't blown up in that test run in Seattle. But he's given it everything. Look at this. As they go down into turn number 1, it's Cropfeld just tucked right in against the outside hull of Steve Reynolds. Reynolds, though, right in against the pin. This is a very, very tight race, and both these guys are using the inside line, Steve.
This is the tightest we have seen Cropfeld take the Bud boat around those buoys. Reynolds has done it in every heat because the boat is so much lighter. Cropfeld is really going for it.
Cropfeld's boat, one of the heaviest on the circuit with that big Rolls-Royce Griffin engine. Really a bulky piece. Scott Pierce now riding in 3rd place. Doesn't look like he's running quite as quickly as he did before. But you know what? Don't forget, Steve, we got a damaged boat out there. Reynolds' boat, as you pointed out, has that sponson with a hole in it, but it doesn't look as if it's hurting things right now. But who's to know? Fatigue could enter into this problem, and he could break something before it's over with.
Well, Scott Pierce has settled back there in 3rd. He'll take those points rather than abuse that boat trying to chase down the front runner. Look at that beautiful turbine boat, Miss 711. Fantastic piece of machinery.
Well, he's broken loose from everybody right now. That, of course, is Cropfeld coming down to the 2nd spot, but he's fallen way, way back right now. It looked like he probably tried Reynolds to see if he could stay with him, decided that he couldn't, and maybe he's just backed out of it a little bit to finish. But Reynolds right now, a runaway leader.
And Steve having to contend with a bit of rough water right now, Brock. The chop is from the boats themselves as they thunder around this 2.5-mile circuit. This is the last lap.
Steve Reynolds, the race another mile and a half to go before victory is his. Underneath the bridge in the Ohio River, down into turn number 3, hooks that big boat around those pins, and right in front of him, the finishing straight. Also in front of him, Jerry Hopp, who's about to lap for 5th place.
This would be the first win for this team in this particular season. Last year with another sponsor, they won a race they called the World Championship down in Texas. But for the Miss 7-Eleven boat, this would be the first victory of the year, and a sweet one it'll be for boat owner Steve Woomer. Getting around, Jerry Hopp putting him a lap down. The checkered flag is out. There's Woomer in the blue shirt, fist in the air to Hollywood handsome Steve Reynolds, who wins the Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup race.
And don't forget, he did it with a boat that had a little bit of damage to its hull, so a great show. Here's a surprise. Kroffeld, riding in 2nd place, brings Miss Budweiser to a halt coming off of turn 4. Steve, he's got some problems. I don't think he's going to finish.
It doesn't look like it, and you know what that means. 2nd place and more points will go to the Executone boat, and Scott Pierce, you can hear Scott coming out of turn number 4, and that will be a sight for sore eyes, seeing the Bud boat stranded out on the course.
Oh, it sure will. So maybe it wasn't Kroffeld backing off as much as it was engine problems that finally mounted to a point where the boat just wouldn't go any farther. So here comes Scott Pierce leading the points race, as he said, on his way to even more points with a 2nd place finish in this main event. Good show by Scott Pierce. Yes, checkered is out, a 2nd place for the young man from Seattle, Washington.
Well, let's see who's going to take 3rd. On the inside, the conventional boat called Miss Madison. Andy Coker at the wheel. On the outside, here comes oh boy, Oberto, Jerry Hopp. Hopp is picking him up. Hopp is catching him coming out of turn 4, headed for the finish line.
Going to be a good race, but Hopp slides way wide coming around that final corner. It looks like Andy Coker got himself a couple of boat lengths. He's going to need every bit of it, because right now Hopp's boat looks like he's going to be a little bit faster down that final finishing straight. This is going to be a race to the finish. Hopp gets him. Last lap, last corner, he takes Andy Coker. A little shot of nitrous there, do you think, Steve, to help him down the final straight?
I think he pushed all 4 buttons on that steering wheel, Brock, and just drained that nitrous system. Jerry Hopp picks up 3rd place and a fine payday for the Miss Oh Boy Oberto boat.
Good show by Jerry, who also wrenches the boat when he's not in the cockpit racing, as Steve Reynolds waves at the fans lining the shores here and heads down, backs out of the throttle on that big turbine, and heads into the pit area to meet a very happy crew. I'll guarantee you that.
Listen to the roar coming from that dock, Brock, for Steve Reynolds as he climbs out of the boat while it's still scooting through the water. He can't wait to give a hug to his crew chief, Jerry Burhill, and of course the boat owner, Steve Woomer. Costs an awful lot of money to run one of these craft.
It sure does. Those turbine motors are very, very expensive, but they paid off for everybody today. Excellent drive by Steve Reynolds. First, he had to fight it out with Chip Hanauer. Then he had to go up against Jim Kroffeld, and in both cases came out the victor.
And even Bernie Little, the owner of the Budweiser boat, impressed with Steve Reynolds' performance today, gives him a well-deserved pat on the old life preserver. We'll be back to talk to the top finishers here in Madison, Indiana, right after this.
River, but before we talk to the winners, let's throw a couple of bouquets to the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary, and they're both the Zachary Taylor. That was the source of those beautiful, low-level, high-speed shots down the back straightaway here, and we thank those guys for letting us use their boat today. Steve Reynolds, Scott Pierce, overall winners here. Jerry Hopp, Andy Coker, Jim Kroffeld rounds it out. Let's go to the winner.
Steve Reynolds. His first victory of the season, 2nd for the Steve Woomer-owned crew out of Kent, Washington. Congratulations. A beautiful drive, Steve.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Where's the rest of this crew?
They're over here behind us. Steve, tell us about the first couple of laps. Kroffeld appeared to at least be in the hunt then.
Oh, let me tell you, Jim Kroffeld and the Budweiser ran as strong as anybody can run on this race course today. I think maybe we had a little advantage in the turbine engine coming off the corners, and that may have been the difference. But Budweiser, they're tough competitors. They never, ever give up. Same with Executone. I could feel them both breathing down my neck the whole way. I kept screaming on the radio to Jerry Verhill, tell me, please tell me where they are.
Might have been going a little faster than you should have in that water.
Well, every time we go out, Steve, we go to run as hard as we can possibly run. And I think today was an example of just exactly what a great field of unlimiteds we bring down here to Madison, Indiana. If it was as much fun for the rest of these people to watch as it was for us out there to participating, it was a great race and a great day.
I assure you, they had as much fun. And a beautiful day. Steve Woomer, boat owner, congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
It's always fun, right?
Okay, to Jerry Verhill, the crew chief, our best. Gentlemen, celebrate. All right, let's go down to the dock and Brock Yates with the second-place finisher.
Scott, congratulations.
Well, thank you, Brock.
You were working hard. It looked as if Crossbell really had it on you, but you were running real steady. Were you hoping that maybe something would break up ahead?
Well, that's all I could hope for. I had the inside at the start, and I was going like a bandit, and they left me going to the corner. And, you know, that's just all the faster my boat would go. And, I had the position on the race course and everything just the way I wanted, but it just didn't work out for us.
Well, you know, they say there's no substitute for cubic inches, and that was the game you were playing today, but you did a super job.
Well, thank you. The Executone guys worked real hard, and we're very, very pleased. Our boats finished all 3 heats, and we're to be thankful for that. Puts us way ahead in the World Championship points, and that's our little victory for today, you know.
It sure is. Well, you did a super job, and our congratulations.
Thank you, Brock.
Well, let's hope the Bud crew has kept a cold brew for this man, Jim Kropfeld. He's not celebrating at all. Could not finish the final heat in that famous boat. Let's take one more look at how they did finish and the points they earned. Of course, Steve Reynolds on top in Miss 711.